The story starts at the end of the line for this guy. He's on the edge of the roof and jumps off to escape. As he falls, he hallucinates of a girl falling towards him. So if you're confused about how we got here like me, let's rewind a bit. This guy is what you would call an average Joe, so average that he hasn't been given a name yet. One day in class, he is staring out the window until the school idol, Shio, walks into the class and straight up to him. Suddenly, he is not so average anymore, and he finally gets a name. As she holds Haoi's hand, she looks incredibly flustered. What is she going to do? Ask him on a date. Ask him to be her boyfriend. Well, that escalated quickly. This isn't looking good for Haoi. Twitter is already trying to cancel him, and the simps are after him in a frenzy. He doesn't know what's going on, but he knows one thing. If he wants to live past the next 5 seconds, he had better get to stepping. He finally loses the mob, but he's still got to deal with Shia's craziness, so he tells her to meet him on the roof later. He is still running from the mob, so he uses one of Asia's greatest weapons, a broomstick, to get rid of them. But just when he thinks he is in the clear, he gets pulled into the women's bathroom by the Sun Tzu squad and is questioned by their leader Tang. She saw the Twitter post and is asking him what the meaning of this is. She is also crazy and thinks that he has been cheating on her, but he has never seen this girl in his life. As they exit the bathroom, he is grabbed by another girl, Ling, and this one claims that he has 2 children with her already. But as he is fighting with him, Tang stops her and the two start fighting. Haoi takes this chance to escape the crazy and he runs to the roof. And seeing nowhere else to go, he jumps off the roof. But as he falls, he sees a light in the sky with a girl, and instead of his head going splat, he lands safely on the ground. The girl is the love god Mei, and she tells him that he messed up big time when he ate part of a cake she left on the roof. And seriously, who eats mysterious roof cake? So now the girls have false memories of him being their lover, and in order to stop it, he has to fulfill their deepest desires. The magic wears off and the mob is still after Haoi, so he hides behind some trees. He heads back up to the roof and finds Shia there, who still thinks she is pregnant. So he takes her to the hospital to get tested. And Jia and Haoi, you are not the father. He has now proven that she is not pregnant, but she is not ready to give up yet. And if she isn't pregnant yet, she'll just get pregnant next time. In fact, they should start right away. But while Haoi is definitely tempted, he knows the rules. Don't stick your crazy. He takes Shia home and her family is filthy rich. At first, the family's bodyguards welcome Haoi into the home, but once they see the Twitter post, they start jumping him. Shia tries to save him and drags him up to her room. There, he realizes that she has some major daddy issues, so he thinks he knows what to do to fulfill Shia's desire. He provokes her father to force him to pay attention to her. Now he's gotten her father's attention, but he gets beaten up again. She begs her father to stop since she isn't actually pregnant, and he calls off his bodyguards. Now that Haoi has finally gotten a chance to speak, he lays into her father for not being there for her. Yes, he may have bought her every luxury imaginable, but with how little she gets to see him, he might as well have gone to get the milk. After dropping those facts, he once again gets to stepping so that he doesn't get beat up again. Also, Haoi is built different. He just ran 3 blocks in 5 seconds, and all after being beat up twice. Since he has fulfilled Shi's desire, the spell on her has been lifted. That takes care of one problem, but he's still got to hide from the other girls. You know how I just said that takes care of one problem? Well, the problem wasn't solved, and she is still in love with Haoi. He was never informed of something like this, so he yells out for Mei, and she goes. He asks her what the hell is going on, and she basically tells him, congratulations, you got Reese. Even though her fake memories have been erased, she's still in love with Haoi thanks to the time she spent with him. So there's no easy solution to this one. But that is the least of his problems, since now he has to deal with a yandere. Surely isn't playing any games and firmly marks her territory by kissing Haoi right in front of Shia. And Haoi is kinda into it. But before Shuali can do anything more, her mother shows up in class and demands she dismounts Haoi. But she doesn't want to and begins fighting her mother, but she stood no chance and gets knocked out so bad that she's gonna end up on a highlight reel. Later, her mother talks to Haoi and tells him that she can't protect him anymore and maybe he should look into getting some life insurance. Haoi tells Mei about him being childhood friends with Shuali, but around the corner, she is hiding. And I have no idea how he saw through such a legendary disguise. She asks him out on a date the next day and he agrees since he still does kind of like her. While walking up the stairs, he bumps into Tang, who then breaks up with him. And he goes, I see this as an absolute win. The next day, the yandere is back and she locks him in his room so that he can't go on his date with Shia. But a locked door isn't going to stop him. He finally makes it to Shia and the two sit down for a drink. Haoi suggests that they go to an anime convention nearby in order to avoid the awkward silence. But there, they find Tang as a cat girl. The anime convention goers start to get a little too intense, so Tang drags Haoi and Shia off to discuss in private. But trouble is coming for him, and by trouble, I mean Shuali. Tang finally escapes the crowd and she threatens Hao Wei to keep him from laughing at her, but he's actually into cat girls. Tang acts like a tomboy, but in reality she is just like any other basic girl. The competition is about to begin, but Tang has no chance of winning since she would need 3 members to participate. However, she has an idea. She and Hao Wei could participate, and Tang likes that idea. They dress up Hao Wei into the most trappy of traps, so much so that he even caught Shuali slipping. All seems to be going well, but as Tang is getting ready to change, she finds that her outfit has been destroyed in an attempt at cosplay sabotage. Later, Hao Wei is in the men's toilet when Mei pops up and asks him what he's going to do, but Hao Wei looks at her and suddenly gets an idea. The time for the competition has arrived and Hao Wei goes on stage, and he catches the entire crowd slipping. But he can't keep buying time forever, so he tries to get Tang to come out, but after hearing his speech, she falls for him literally. However, instead of going splat with a little love god magic, their costumes change, and they amaze the entire convention. Shuali was watching all this and hears some girls talking about how Hao Wei was cute, so she's going to add a few names to the local obituary. Hao Wei and Tang return to the changing room, but they start arguing about who gets to change first. And after pushing Hao Wei, the love god magic wears off and Hao Wei and Tang are just stood there naked. Tang throws Hao Wei out of the changing room and throws his clothes at him. Mei shows up and Hao Wei must really be packing some heat to be able to fluster even the love god. She apologizes for not telling him that the clothes disappear after a while. She isn't very good at magic and now she is falling victim to Hao Wei's ruse. She comes up to Hao Wei and asks him if they can go home yet, and he completely forgot that this was meant to be a date with Xia. That night, Hao Wei goes to an apartment building and it seems like he has a thick mommy. The is living the single life and she asks Hao Wei why he came to see her. He came because of Shuali. Back when they were little, Hao Wei was a fucking Einstein, and he always scored way higher than Shuali. But she couldn't accept that she was dumber than him, so she resorted to smacking his head a lot to force him to lose some brain cells. Hao Wei didn't want to lose those brain cells, so he started scoring lower intentionally so that she would be happy. But she let it go to her head a little too much, and she actually thought she was smarter than him. Then one day, she called him stupid and said he should just rely on her from now on and move to America with her. She makes a bet that she can score higher than him on the next test, and if she wins, he has to follow her. Spoiler alert, she doesn't win. And now he is at his teacher's house because he wants to channel his inner Einstein again. The next day, he goes to Tang's gym and throws down the academic gloves. He says that if even a single one of them can score higher than him, then he'll do whatever they say. Hao Wei begins pushing himself to study once more, and on the day of the test, he's looking absolutely terrible. Tang wants to let him back out of the bet, but the girls are insistent on beating him. The test happens and Hao Wei finishes his test early, and if that doesn't tell you he aced the test, then I don't know what will. The day of the results arrives and Hao Wei shows up at the gym with a maid outfit, and his bet is for Tang to wear a maid outfit for 2 weeks. The scores come out, and sure enough, Hao Wei is in first place. Now Tang has to wear a maid outfit in front of the whole school, which the other girls would think is embarrassing for her, but she's actually into it. This way, Tang can finally act the way she wants to act without judgment. All's well ends well, but not for Hao Wei, because now Lin is coming after him for child support. Hao Wei's soul leaves his body after seeing the children, but even death isn't going to save him from child support. He tries to defuse the situation and tells the kids to go wait at the school gate with their mother while he asks, "Mei, what the hell is going on?" And the explanation goes something like this: Lin wanted kids, so magic gave her kids. While waiting at the gate, Lin gets a call and leaves the kids alone to go deal with something. And this right here is how not to be a mother. Those kids are gone. After a lot of searching and somehow ending up in the girls' changing room, he finally finds both kids and heads back to Lin. Now that things have settled down, he tries to use common sense. There ain't no way those kids are his. He's only 20 and those kids have got to be like 8 years old or something. So unless they were popping out kids at 12 years old, there's no way it makes any sense. However, common sense fails to work. There's no way out of this now, so he just has to go along with it. He follows Lin home and is greeted by a butcher knife to the face. Lin's mother isn't too happy with all that has happened, since from her perspective, Hao Wei just tried to go get the milk. Hao Wei plays the part of a loving father, and after the kids have been put to sleep, he comes face to face with his current reality. Since he is technically married to Lin, they might sleep together. But before anything demonetizable happens, he gets a call from Xia, who is asking him to go on a date to the amusement park that Sunday. But at the same time, Lin asks him to take the kids to the amusement park on Sunday. He resolves to take both of them at the same time, but I've never once seen this play out well. On Sunday, he arrives with Lin to go on some rides before he meets up with Xia, But my man isn't built for roller coasters. After ejecting his guts, he goes to meet up with Shia. The two sit on a bench together, and a photographer comes up to them and asks to take a photo, and Haoe is being very awkward. However, she isn't pulling any punches and goes straight for a kiss. Haoe has no clue how to process what just happened, so he goes to the bathroom to clear his head. Mei then shows up and tells Haoe that he's in denial of his own reason. She definitely likes him. Haoe still has to deal with Lin and the kids, so he goes to buy a gift for them. But he runs into Tang and then gets a call from Shia. He gets the bright idea to send Tang to go hang out with Shia while he goes back to Lin. Haoe gets back to Lin and his daughter is crying because she didn't get any ice cream from the contest that's going on. Haoe offers to go buy some ice cream, but Lin stops him. Apparently, he's got a whole sad backstory of being laid off from work and being poor. At the revelation that he is now poor, Haoe promises to win the contest and get that ice cream. The contest starts and Haoe still got that Giga brain, so he's demolishing the competition. Later, at a restaurant, they enjoy their ice cream, and Haoe brings up a touchy subject. Lin's father actually went to get the milk and hasn't been back since, and she's incredibly upset by it. He later meets up with her to apologize for what he said, but she says he doesn't need to apologize since what he said is actually true, but she won't be elaborating any further. If she isn't going to explain it, then he's going to have to go to her elementary school to find out. At the school, he finds her old teacher and gets her to tell him about Lin's childhood. She tells him that her father was very loving to her and would always be there to pick her up at closing, but one day he went to get the milk and never came back. Haoe asks her to give him his address, but that's still illegal. He's left with no other choice, so he does something even more illegal. He sneaks into a police station. Luckily for him, the officer there is an old buddy of his, so he isn't going to jail. He asks Yan to help him find Lin, but an initial search finds nothing. This will take a little longer than he thought, so Haoe heads home for now. However, when he gets home, his parents have some bad news for him. Shuli is coming over for a late-night wrestling match, and she's not taking no for an answer. The next morning, Haoe is tired from all the bedtime aerobics, but he's received a list of possible phone numbers for Lin's father, so he starts calling. By the end of the day, he has finally gotten a hold of Lin's father, but when he asks why he left, the man says that Lin isn't his actual daughter. The story gets really messy from here, so basically, Lin's mother was married to a guy in the Navy, who is Lin's biological father, but that dude's dead. So then Lin's father then married her mother and started taking care of Lin, but his family disowned him because of it, and eventually he was left with no choice but to go get the milk. Haoe didn't sign up to be a family therapist, so this is beyond him, and it's not his problem. But after thinking about it for a while, he remembers that he's technically married to Lin, so it is in fact his problem. He calls Lin's father back and manages to convince him that Lin still needs him. Haoe is keeping contact with Lin's father, but then Mei shows up and he asks her if it's possible that only those 3 girls were affected by the magic. And she tells him no way, there are definitely more, but the way the magic works, only one case will pop up at a time. Haoe then thinks if he doesn't fix Lin, then he won't have to deal with any other girls. And he kinda likes the kids anyway, but Mei isn't going to allow him to not fix Lin because of the canon event. Haoe meets up with Lin and the kids later, but then Truck-kun shows up. Lin's father gets a call that she has been hospitalized with severe injuries, and he books it to the hospital to see Lin. However, when he gets there, he finds that Lin is perfectly fine. Haoe managed to push her out of the way in time to save her life, and Truck-kun is getting pretty rusty if he can't manage to take out one girl. Haoe wakes up from his coma to find Shia and Tang looking over him, but then Tang accidentally puts him back into a coma. While out, he sees his children, who now that Lin's desire has been granted are going to disappear. And Haoe was starting to like the family man life. Some days pass and Haoe has been released from the hospital, and all the girls come to pick him up at once. Shuli declares that Haoe is hers, but the others aren't backing down, so she resorts to kidnapping him. Later, the girls try to visit Haoe at his house, but as they stand there in a deadlock, they've been beaten to the punch by the homies. And while Haoe says no homo, and that his friend is just helping him with ointment, I see no reason why his friend would need to be in a towel as well. Shuli gets upset that she didn't get to apply his ointment and is about to hit Haoe, so Tang prepares to defend him. But her strike gets blocked by the heavenly pillows. They all calm down for a while, but while Haoe is changing, Mei comes into his room and the girls barge in to find the girl that they just heard. Mei's magic is on the fritz, so she couldn't make herself invisible, but after some trials, she was able to erase their memories of what happened. She says this is because Haoe hasn't dealt with all the girls that have been affected by magic. And just on cue, an idol, Sandy, shows up and she can apparently use magic now, just because. Sandy has the power to create an imaginary world, and she wants Haoe to come with her and live there forever, but he prefers to stick to his own universe. Her body is currently in a coma, and what Haoi was just talking to is actually her spirit. She wants to cross over to the other side, and Haoi doesn't really know how he is supposed to stop that. Before she can cross over, Haoi tries to reason with her to get her to stay. He tells her that even if reality is bad, even if the stock market crashed in the other world, as long as there is good, there will always be something bad. For her, the problem is her manager and contract putting pressure on her and not letting her live as she wants to. She doesn't want to listen to Haoi and runs into the other world, but she finds nothing but darkness there. Haoi follows her and promises to help her overcome her worries in the real world, and with his promise, Sandy becomes willing to stay. He now has to find a way to get Sandy's producer's offer back, so he uses his 1000 IQ brain. He plays the social game and rallies support for Sandy with the help of the other girls. But that's just the first part of the plan. Haoi then meets with the manager and demands that he allow her to have a social life, but the man isn't backing down. However, Haoi still has one trick up his sleeve: blackmail. After all Haoi's work, Sandy is finally awake and he wants to go visit her. But the paparazzi are on the lookout for him, so he had to get a little creative. Sandy is in her room, still not sure if Haoi actually exists since she only ever met him while in a coma. But the proof that he is real is right there. She thanks him for helping her so much, and later she sends him and May tickets to her next concert. At the concert, she gives an amazing performance, but then she does Haoi dirty and gets all up close and personal with him. And the simps in the crowd did not like that. Haoi now has a 3-star wanted level with helicopters and everything, so he seeks refuge in a coffee shop. There, he meets this fancy dude who gives him some candy, and Haoi, ignoring the age-old advice of don't take candy from strangers, takes the candy anyway. Later, May is sitting by the riverside when the guy from before shows up, and that fancy dude is actually Willy Wonka himself, the guy who makes all the magic chocolate in this universe. He scolds May for f***ing up her job and causing this whole Haoi mess, but that's not his place to judge. This is an HR matter. May really doesn't want to deal with HR, so she begs him for a little help. So Willy Wonka fixes her magic for her, but only temporarily. Meanwhile, Shuali is still planning some more illegal yandere things, but her mother puts a stop to that really quick. Haoi's cousin is coming soon, so he and she go shopping to get her some clothes, but afterwards they get jumped in an alleyway. They prepare to beat up Haoi, but he suddenly remembers that he is the protagonist and he solos them. No diff. We find out that Haoi's dad is the police chief, but he hates police. Haoi grew up incredibly lonely as a child since his parents had to work so often at the police station. His parents never had any time for him, and even when he was almost kidnapped, they still didn't bother to come see him. The only person Haoi could rely on was his teacher, but even after getting his parents to agree to spend more time with him, they still didn't bother. She tries to comfort him and they share a warm embrace. May is watching this, and even though she knows she shouldn't feel anything for him, she's still really upset, and it seems like she has succumbed to Haoi's rees. While she is busy sulking, another love god shows up and tells her that she has been on Earth too long and she needs to go back. But she doesn't want to leave yet and makes up an excuse to stay. Later, Haoi's class is going on a camping trip and Shia and Tang are trying to rig it so that they can be a part of Haoi's group. However, Lin also catches wind of this and manages to get herself added to the group. At the camping ground, they are having fun and doing the normal things like arguing over whose food Haoi will eat. But that peace doesn't last very long as Shuali shows up in her helicopter. She starts wrecking the entire campground and sets everything on fire. She tries to get some water to put out the fire, but she and Tang get pulled into the water as well. Haoi goes to save them, but Shuali doesn't care that she is about to get a double kill. So Lin, being the only logical person here, bitch slaps Shuali so hard that her brain resets to factory settings. Shuali finally realizes that Haoi doesn't find murdering people very hot, and she breaks down realizing that she messed up. Lin takes Shuali to go look for them, and along the way, Lin accomplishes what many have tried to do and failed. She tames the yandere. By some miracle of endurance, Haoi lasts until nightfall and is able to save Shi and Tang and pull them back ashore. And when Lin and Shuali finally find them, Shuali is just happy to see Haoi again. While she is mellowed out on the murdering, when the topic of where everyone sleeps comes up, she isn't going to let up on her claim to Haoi. The next morning, Shuali is still all over Haoi, and that causes an argument to break out. At the same time, Lin suddenly faints due to the stress of the previous night. Shuali has grown to be more cautious of the danger her antics put others in, and Lin's condition is entirely her fault. And on top of that, Shuali's mother has come to drag her home. However, this time, Shuali does not want to throw hands with her mother. She just asks that they take Lin to the hospital on the way home. Later, at Haoi's house, she asks him how Shuali got her messed up personality. He tells her that Shuali was nice at first, but became over-competitive with him, and thus they grew distant. However, she later got a boyfriend who she loved very much. But I ain't even gonna lie, she got played straight up bamboozled. And even worse, it was in front of the entire school, and some dude in the back definitely uploaded it to YouTube. From that day onwards, Shuali has had major trust issues and had clung to Haoi like moss to a rock. Well, now that ex-boyfriend is back and he's up to no good once more. Later, Haoi is met by Mei, who says she saw Shuali got kidnapped. He isn't gonna let this one slide, but Mei warns him that it is going to be dangerous. He says he understands the risks, but he asks Mei to record it for him. He breaks into the place Shuali is being held at and is about to cave some faces in, but Yuza threatens him with Shuali as a hostage, so he just stands there and takes a beating. Shuali is watching this, and she is reevaluating all her life decisions. Before one of the goons can slash Haoi, Shuali jumps in front of him and takes the hit. She starts to wonder when everything went wrong. She used to have such a good relationship with Haoi, but then her mother gave her some shitty advice and it all went downhill from there. She started studying to surpass Haoi in everything, and she eventually won, but what cost? Now she's here, and look at what has happened. Shuali apologizes for what she did, and Haoi also apologizes for not realizing what her intentions were, even if she was being abrasive. There's still Yuza to deal with, but he already caught him in 4K. He tells Mei to upload the recording to Twitter, and after the video goes viral, Yuza is going to get cancelled. Now that Shuali is no longer in danger, Haoi can now get on with his face-caving plans, and by the time police show up, they've been beaten down. The police are taking Yuza to prison, and this guy right here is the dumbest cop I've ever seen. Yuza tries to stab Haoi, but the cop went through all the trouble of handcuffing him. So how the f did you not check if he had a knife? Well, anyway, Shuali jumps in front of Haoi, and yeah, that's gonna leave a mark. At the hospital, Shuali's mother shows up and slaps Haoi, blaming him for the way that Shuali acts. But in reality, all of this is a result of her shitty advice. Shuali finally wakes up, but she doesn't seem to remember Haoi. He's distraught to hear this, but promises to protect Shuali from now on. Psych, Shuali still has her memory. She was just messing with him. A new challenger has entered the room, and it's none other than Haoi's cousin, Tuzi. She's here on an exchange program, so she'll be at the high school near Haoi. Haoi takes her home, and the two have some innocent fun before bed. The next morning, Sandy shows up at Haoi's door since she saw the Twitter post and wanted to check on him. However, she failed to account for the literal thousands of reporters that follow her every step. So once again, to avoid the wrath of the simps, he's gonna have to get a little creative. Later at school, the others are wondering if any Alabama activity went on last night, and Tuzi shows up to add fuel to the flames. Tangman accuses Haoi in front of the whole class, but he chooses not to explain himself and leaves. The girls want to understand what is going on between him and Tuzi, so they end up asking Tuzi for the details. Tuzi may be a liar, but one thing remains true, that she loves her cousin, and that has been true since she was way younger. Around that time, when Haoi realized that his parents cared about work more than him, she was there for him and even helped him make a friend. She came here because she was worried about him, but now that she knows he's got mostly good people around him, she has to go. That thing about being here for an exchange program was a lie. She runs to get Haoi so he can say goodbye before she leaves. The plane is already in motion. However, she tells the driver to just ram his way onto the runway, which I'm sure is all kinds of illegal, but I guess she can get away with it since she is rich. With the help of Mei's magic, Haoi is able to thank Tuzi for all the support she has given him. But even though Tuzi is gone, he has still got these guys to keep him company.